nice. You know,
Now, listen, we've had a bit of fun in the first hour, as we always do. It's be a little bit serious because, of course, we had some very sad news over the weekend that we lost, I think, England's greatest ever goal scorer in Jimmy Greaves. Of course, played for your club. Yep. You knew him. Yep. Played for obviously for Spurs. Played a bit for West Ham as well. Played in Italy. A proper, absolute legend. The word legend is used so much in sport. And sometimes a little bit too much, but with him, it's probably a word that doesn't describe him enough. Actually, he was just phenomenal. I know we've got some people that want to talk about their experiences with Jimmy. I've got a story about him as well. I know you have, but I'll let you go first because you were at Chelsea when he was there. Is that right?
Yeah, no, he was. I think I was with the Chelsea Old Boys. This is a long time after I retired, and he was part of what we were doing on that particular day, and. You know, I was lucky enough to spend time with him, lucky enough to have a chat with him, and the way he was, you see on TV, pretty much the way he was, really. You know, there's no real hidden personality to him. It's what you see. It's pretty much the way he was. But we are talking about one of the finest footballers this country's ever produced. Possibly the greatest goal scorer in terms of his numbers, in terms of what he did, certainly for country. Games, minutes on the pitch and goals scored. He scored 6 hat-tricks for England. 6 hat-tricks in 44 games. I mean, his numbers are right up there with some of the very, very best in the world. I mean, they're almost like Messi and Ronaldo numbers throughout his career. That's how, and he would do this wherever he went. And I heard more about it. I never saw him play. But I heard, and you don't see on social media now. It's brilliant because there was a montage of a lot of his goals with Spurs, Chelsea, or England, and he was an unbelievable talent. Unbelievable talent. And you can tell today by the. I've looked at the Sun and the Mirror, one or two other newspapers, how much inches they've actually dedicated to him. Not just the back pages, but it's the front cover, inside cover. He has taken up so many column inches. He was one of the true greats, no question.
So I grew up, obviously, he was way before my time, but my dad was a massive fan of his and would always talk about him. And I used to watch loads and loads of videos of him. Yeah. But one thing I didn't realise, they did, of course, Spurs were at home against your mob at the weekend, so they dedicated a lot to their build-up to Jimmy Greaves. I think it was Alan Mullery that said he never saw him blast the ball. And I was like, do you know what? Everything was just passed into the net, like effortless. Just like so many strikers nowadays just smash it. Very few can do what he did. It's just incredible when you think about it like that, isn't it? Yeah. My Jimmy Greaves story is I never met him. I don't think I ever met him anyway. I don't recall meeting him. But obviously St and Greaves' show is something I grew up with watching on a Saturday morning. Yeah. So my dad and I used to watch that religiously every single Saturday morning. And one week they had a quiz. And the winner of the quiz got 2 League Cup final tickets. I think it was 87. Someone can Google it for me. It was when Arsenal played Luton at Wembley. Right. And the prize was lunch in the London Wembley Hilton Hotel before, 2 tickets in the stadium to see the League Cup final. And that was it, right? That was it, 1988, Rufus, thanks. Anyway, my dad entered me into the competition with my name, and I won it. And on the TV... We got a letter beforehand saying they were going to announce the word, so we recorded it, and on it they went through the competition. And Ian St John went, and the winner is Andy from Ilford, as I was back then. And then it cuts to Jimmy Greaves. He goes, "Well done, Andy," which I've got somewhere. I'll try and dig it out and put it on Instagram. But then, so what happened was we went to the Hilton Hotel at Wembley. And obviously, I was such a fussy kid. I only ate chips, and they didn't have chips for me. Unbelievably, they didn't have chips. So I had to eat something else. And then we got into the ground. You know, when you're a kid, you want to get to the ground really, really early. So we got into Wembley really, really early. And the chairs, I don't know if you remember this. It was at the old Wembley, but the chairs, when you sat quite near the front, they didn't have backs on them.
Oh right, okay.
They were just
like a bench. It was benches or something.
No, they were the seats, but they were just for your bum, right?
Right. No, okay.
And they also had in front of us where we were. They had. This was before. They took all the what's his names down the not the cages, was it, the in front of you to stop you getting on the pitch.
What?
The fencing.
Barriers.
They took all the fencing. It was before they took the fencing down. Okay. So that was in front of us, and we had these really uncomfortable seats. And it was about an hour and a half before kickoff. We were sat there, and my dad looked at me, and I just wasn't happy. And he said, "If we leave now, we can watch it at home." And I went, "Okay," and we left and watched it at home. It's true. I swear to God, that's true.
Well, I believe it.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Well, but there. I mean, no. No, it's not
I think
amazing.
it was 3-2. I think it was a great game. I think Mark Steen scored
You
it.
didn't want to sit on the uncomfortable seats.
No, I couldn't see. He had the fence in front of me as well. You know when your kid just moan about everything?
Right, but at least got free lunch. Just didn't get your chips.
I just didn't get my chips. So listen, if anyone's got some Jimmy Greaves stories they want to share with us, of course you can phone up now, 08717 223344. Jerry's a Spurs fan, he's done just that. Hello Jerry, how are you? Oh, Jerry?
Hello there.
Hello Jerry.
First time caller.
Hi, Jerry.
I'm 87 years old.
Wow.
Welcome.
I supported Spurs for 80 years, right? I still go to White Hart Lane because my son and grandson have got season tickets, and he's at uni, so when he's at uni, I go. I must tell you this Jimmy Greaves story, which I've got the programme in front of me. I'll give you the date, right? And it's Wednesday, 30th of October, 1968. It was a Wednesday night, and it was a kick-off at 7:30, right? We beat them 1-0 in this Football League Cup, right? And we enjoyed the game. It was a fantastic game. It was Pat Jennings in goal, Kinnear, Knowles, Mullery, Mike England, Bill, Bond, Greaves, Pearce, Venables and Gilzine. And if you want to know the Southampton team, I can give it to you here, right? It was Gerd, Jones, Kirkup, Kent, McGrath, Gabriel, Sol, Walker, Davis, Cannon, Mike Shannon, and Payne was the captain. And we saw the game, right? We enjoyed the game, they won, and we always, after the game, even though it was an evening kick-off, we went into the Spurs cafe, and we always sit there till the crowds disperse, and then we walk to Stamford Hill from White Hart Lane, which is quite a walk once they've all gone. And we were sitting there having our tea. Who comes into the restaurant was Jimmy, my hero, and he sits down and he orders tea and toast. And he had a holdall with him, right? He sits down and we went up to him, asked for his autograph, and he started talking about the game. And do you know what? He spoke literally to us for about half an hour. Wow. It was fantastic. And just as you used to see him with, Greaves and Ian St. John, it was exactly the same. He came over joking, laughing. It was fantastic. And when I heard he died, I was absolutely heartbroken. My wife would tell you, she didn't know what was wrong, and I just could not believe it. It was my childhood hero.
It's a great story.
Jerry, thank you so much for phoning up and also sharing that story with us.
I appreciate it.
Cheers, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Wonderful man he was.
They say don't meet your heroes, don't they? But, sometimes they do live up to that.
87 years old. That's back in the day, you hear a lot of those stories, don't you? Before
You can't imagine Harry Kane going down the local cafe, get holding a cup of tea and toast, can you now?
You can't.
Well, it just wouldn't happen.
Let's speak to Clive, he's a Spurs fan. Hello, Clive.
Hello there.
Hi, Clive. Thanks for phoning up.
Show, boys.
Thank you, man. Go on, what's your recollection of Jimmy Greaves?
Before I say that, I've got a record that you might look up on YouTube. It's about feet. It's Your Feet's Too Big by Fats Waller.
Okay.
It was made in 1939, but it's on YouTube.
Okay, we'll have a look. Thanks, Clive. Go on, what story have you got for us about the late, great Jimmy Greaves?
I saw his debut in December 1961, where he's got a hat-trick at White Lane, but his first game for Spurs was in the reserves at Plymouth Argyle's ground, where they had a crowd of 14,000. And the price of tickets in those days, we paid on the gate in those days to go into the ground. It was about equivalent of about 30 pence to go in. And I used to travel by train to the away games quite often, and the team used to have a meal in the restaurant car in those days. And the players used to come into the buffet after and speak to the team as I'm speaking to you now, but you wouldn't be able to do that nowadays. And it was a great greatest goal scorer of all time, I think. But with Spurs, Lennon, I think he was equal to. There was two players in the team that was equally as good. Him and Dave Mackay was a great player, and great memories and a great person. But the problem is, near the end of his career, during his career, he had a bad bout of hepatitis, which caused him a lot of the slowest speed down. It's to do with the liver, I think.
That's right, I did hear
that.
Clive, listen, we really appreciate you not just listening to the show, but phoning up and sharing your memories. It's really kind of you, Clive.
Thank you.
Cheers, Clive.
Thanks, Clive. 2 wonderful calls there, weren't they?
Yeah.
Fantastic. In case you missed it earlier on TalkSport, TalkSport marked the sad passing of the legendary England striker and, of course, Tottenham's all-time leading goal scorer, someone we've just been talking about, Jimmy Greaves, with a special documentary, English Football Genius, a tribute to Jimmy Greaves, hosted by TalkSport presenter and Spurs fan Danny Kelly. The documentary focused on the career of one of the greatest players this country has ever produced. And in case you missed it or you want to listen to it again, it will be available as a podcast in the TalkSport daily feed on the TalkSport app from tomorrow.